Welcome back for the last section of this fifth class about business model innovation, and we'll talk about the organizational impact of all this, and meaning more for the traditional company point of view, so for the traditional large multinational or large corporation, and how can they adapt themselves internally to better embrace new business model and innovation. So you have the traditional view of the firm, which is vertical, very hierarchical, authoritarian, with departments that is centralized. So it's a bit caricatural, but that would be the traditional view of the firm. And then you have the much more innovative view of the firm, which is horizontal. So it's shorter, flatter organization chart with less middle management, where you have much more autonomy, where you will work in team by project. You will adapt more to the environment. It will be much more decentralized. So it's a bit black and white. But if we really put it to the extreme, that would be the view of the very old traditional corporation versus the new innovative organizational form. Obviously, reality is somewhere in the middle. And a very interesting concept is what we call organizational ambidexterity. And the goal here is to combine the traditional and the innovative approaches. The traditional would be what we call exploitation. It's really the part of the organization that will strengthen the core business. So here, they really focus on the existing product and processes. The objective is profit maximization. You will mainly focus on efficiency, on improvement of what exists, and you will have a more traditional structure. And then on the other side, you will be the exploration. That's the part of the organization that will look for innovation and that will try to invent the product and services of tomorrow. And there, the scope will be much more on research and development, technology, product innovation. You will have a very different culture, focusing on risk-taking, speed, flexibility, working team, much more adaptation. So it's possible actually to have both sides, and the question is, how do we do both? Because a company cannot forget its current product and services just to focus on the new one and trying to innovate, and they cannot just do the existing one without thinking to the future. That's a complex exercise, but if you do only one exploitation or exploration, you will probably not succeed. And so the best companies are the ones that can combine both, and we call them ambidextrous company. And so you see, you can have several organizational model, but the ambidextrous organization will be able to combine the existing business and the emerging business. And within each of them, the organization will be different. And over time, so that probably will be relatively small in the beginning, then grow. And then over time, the ambidextrous company setup will or should or will probably evolve in different directions. And I see three main scenarios. The first one would be the integration. So you start with the big exploitation business, the small exploration, and then progressively they will combine, integrate, and merge. For example, if you think about BMW i, the first electric car, when they launched it and they were among the first, it was really a small dedicated division, and now they've merged and it's really part of the group. So that would be an example. You can have the coexistence still, where both continue to live their life. It's not always easy, and that's probably a temporary situation. So if you still take the BMW example, Reach Now is still a separate division, and Reach Now is a division where you have Drive Now, but other innovative services in mobility. And so that's really separated from the business. But you can imagine that in 5 years, 10 years, when mobility will have even more changed, that it will be fully integrated again. And then you can have the refocus. At some point, you continue both in parallel, the exploitation and the exploration, and then at some point you stop the exploitation to focus only on the exploration. That becomes actually the new exploitation, and you will start redefining some other exploration on the side. If you take the example of Netflix, and I think you have a case on it, indeed, But Netflix in the beginning, that was a normal DVD business. They were sending it through the post. They even they acquired Blockbuster, if I properly remember. But then they launched in parallel their streaming services, and then soon after they focus on it. So that's really a perfect example of refocus. But we have others. The Page d'Or. You are probably too young to remember Le Bottin, the telephone book. But they've managed to develop other services and to refocus on digital marketing, for example. So, and they've changed name, I think. But those are good examples. So those examples are detailed in the next slides. Read them. I will not go through them. Some I've explained, some others, so it will give you some diversity here. Obviously, a lot can be learned by benchmarking organizational setups for the companies succeeding at business innovation. And then there is the question, how can big corporation and startup coexist? And actually, they are much more complementary than you think. So in some cases, a startup will disrupt big existing businesses, but in many instances, collaboration is probably the key. And you see, because a corporate has some strength, a startup as well, and they both have weaknesses as well, and that's quite complementary. So I'll let you read the slides, but think that it's not always head-to-head competition. It can be strong collaboration and a mutual benefits. And today, for big, large corporations, getting closer to the startups and to smaller companies, agile companies is key. And to do that, they have a lot of different ways to do it. The first one, the basic one, is the Business Innovation Lab. That would be a small department in a company just to explore and to identify new opportunities. Then you have the Business Incubator Accelerator. It's really the incubation and operation of high potential new business innovation. That's the incubator or scale up of existing startup accelerator. So that's within the corporate. Then you try things in cooperation or not with a startup. Venture investment, that would be investing in the startup. They stay on the side, they keep their autonomy, but the large corporation invest in them. And venture clients, that when a company agrees to become a client of a startup at an early stage when its product, service, or technology is not yet mature. So you see, you have a lot of different tools that for a corporation can, with different level of risk and investment, for a multinational or large corporation to start dealing with startups and with other ways of working. And there are probably different times where you can use a different tool. So I will not enter into this. So here I have a few examples of the different concepts I've just explained. I will not go through them all. So it's pretty, I think it's pretty self-explanatory if you read them, but it's always interesting, I think. Yeah, on this one, it's just to give you a bit more background about the venture investment spectrum. You have also a lot of different tools to do that: external funds, internal funds, corporate division. So it's more for your information, but again, always quite interesting, and there is quite a lot of literature about it. Yeah. And the last point, obviously, venturing, it's not the same as traditional M&A. So you see a bit the difference here, but you need to be faster. There is probably more risk. The maturity of the firms you're looking at is less. Integration is probably not the first option you will think of, and so on and so forth. So corporate venturing is not M&A, but a next step of corporate venturing can be M&A, obviously, if you want to acquire a startup. So I was maybe a bit quick at the end, but for me, really, it stops here. The important concept is here, and the rest was more an illustration for you to have a bit more material. So I hope it's clear. You'll see I'll post a message on Lola that you can send any question you have to my email address, obviously, and then we'll address them in a structure way very soon. No compulsory reading, and you have, of course, because that's not covered in the initial book and the suggested book for the class, but you have a lot of literature about it. And a lot of the course was based on this. So you have a good book that's called Platform Revolution. Obviously the business model generation framework from Ostwalder and Co. Is very famous, and a good book I read very recently is Business of Platforms by Kusumano. You have also a video from him, and a few slides also came from his work. So thanks a lot for your attention. I hope it was not too much and too dense. I know that it's not the best way to give that class, and that a strategy class should be interactive. But hope you found it interesting, and do not hesitate to contact me should you have any question. Please do the extra readings, read carefully the slides, and I wish you also good luck for your assignment. So next week we'll have the last class, and I'll do the same recordings. Thank you very much. Bye bye.